coming to you from the middle of the country, a new voice in politics, a show that is breaking away from the two-party system. In the Middle, with your host, Justin Staten.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Happy Wednesday morning to you, and I'm glad you made it back for another episode of In the Middle. Well, it's starting to heat up. Hope you guys have a hot piping cup of coffee like I do, and you're ready to buckle up, Buttercup, because the liberals, the left, the media, everybody is freaking out right now. It's impressive how everybody is freaking out right now. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't been paying attention, I covered it on yesterday's show. Tucker Carlson has released more unedited footage of January 6th and what was going on in the Capitol. And so I am going to dedicate the time for the show today to talk a little bit more about this, tell you how everybody is losing their minds. Democrats, Republicans, the corporate media, liberals on social media, leftists. When you see that happening in coordination, in unison, you should step back, even if you're a part of it. If you consider yourself on the left or a Democrat or whatever, when you see this unison of everybody losing their mind simultaneously and using the exact same talking points, you should step back and really assess what's going on. Because how many people can that show political partisanship constantly be on the same page and use the same talking points over something that is clearly protected under the First Amendment, which is reporting facts as they are, unedited, unaltered facts. Not just facts, but video evidence. So they're all losing their mind. I think it's quite crazy. And Tucker Carlson had another segment last night. I wasn't able to watch live, but I did record it, so I caught it pretty late last night. And I thought last night's show was a little bit lighter than what I was expecting. But I kind of see now what he's doing. And basically, he's taking the narrative that we were told by the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, because the Democrats concocted the whole January 6th deadly insurrection story. They concocted the whole thing. They formed the subcommittee for January 6th. They staffed it. They did not allow Republicans to have their own choice on who was going to sit on that committee. The Democrats hand-selected Liz Cheney and the bedwetter, who I'm not even gonna. I've mentioned his name on previous episodes, and if you want to go back, you can. But the guy is just he's a buffoon, and I'm not gonna give him time. So anyway, it's Adam Kinzinger, but they picked who the Republicans would put, the Democrats being they, right? And then they concocted this whole story. They brought in a retired ABC producer, right? Somebody who worked in television to edit and add sound effects to the videos. And this is public record. This is not a conspiracy. It's very public. They brought that guy in to edit and add sound and all this other stuff to the footage that they showed at the hearing. So it was all theater. And they created a narrative. And what Tucker's doing here, and I kind of figured it out last night because I was like, whoa, I want to just see video. I want to see video, as much video as possible. And that's not exactly what he's doing, because apparently there's thousands and thousands of hours of video on January 6th from all the different surveillance cameras all around the Capitol, inside, outside, etc. So I just wanted to see raw video. Let us decide. Give it all to the American people, which we have a right to see, and let us decide. But I figured out last night what Tucker's doing. And what he's doing is he's taking all the narratives, the talking points from the Democrats in the January 6th committee and some Republicans, and he is debunking them in real time with undoctored, unedited video from January 6th. And the whole point is he's trying to point out and prove that the Democrats in the January 6th committee, which did have 2 Republicans, those are called rhinos, right? Republican in name only, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger. He's debunking every narrative that they put out there. Primarily the fact that it was not a deadly insurrection. And you still have members of Congress as of yesterday, still saying that the Capitol police officer that died on January 6th was killed by protesters, which is false. It is not true. The New York Times was the first media outlet to report on that and then quietly retracted that story later. But so why are Democrats and people in the media still, as of yesterday, saying that he was killed by protesters on January 6th? Their lies know no bounds. They have no character. And the reason they're flipping out, guys, is because they're caught. They chose to only release select videos during the January 6 hearings that were edited for their effect in their narrative and refused to release any other footage, not only to the American public or to the hearing for the American public to see, but to all the people that were charged with crimes on January 6th, which is also a direct violation of their constitutional rights to be afforded all evidence that exists that the prosecution knows they have. They were supposed to be provided all footage, and they were even denied all of this footage in their trial, which is a direct violation of the Constitution. And those defense attorneys for those people should be filing appeals to dismiss not only the cases but the verdicts and the guilty pleas or whatever happened, because there's several of them, so I haven't kept track of all of them. But even their constitutional rights were violated. And the reason I'm dedicating time to this, welcome to the show, by the way, and if you love the show and it makes you laugh, makes you think, gets you fired up, share the show. That's all I'm going to say about it today. But the reason I'm dedicating this time is because we have to understand the severity of all this. This is your government, elected leaders, lying, spinning, telling a story, not the whole story, to the American people for political effect. And now that all the video has been released to a journalist, and whether you want to call Tucker Carlson a journalist or not, I think arguments can be made on both sides, whether he's strictly commentary or a journalist. Nevertheless, he is protected under the First Amendment through the freedom of the press. And now that there's a journalist, and keep in mind, guys, no other news outlet asked for this footage in the last 2 years. None. Tucker Carlson's show and his producers did, but were denied until Kevin McCarthy, the new speaker, decided, you know what? I won't just send it over to you, but your producers can come to the Hill, the Capitol, and pour through all the footage you want. And now everybody's losing their ever-loving minds. Guys, at what point in America did it become a problem for the American people to see evidence? At what point in America did it become a problem for a journalist or somebody in the media to get the scoop, right? They get the scoop. They get the inside source first and get to go to publication first with it. And that used to be a thing and something journalists would strive for, is to get the facts, to get the scoop, to get the inside facts and the information so they could break the story first. When did it, in America, did that become a bad thing? I'll tell you when it became a bad thing. When America became so corrupt that censorship was the obvious next step. Because that's where we're at. You had the leader of the Senate yesterday standing on the floor saying Fox News should 100% tell Tucker Carlson to not report any more about January 6th because he's lying. You have the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who's an old bag of bones, saying the same thing. How did we get here? I'll tell you how we got here, because we allowed this to happen. We got us here because America, we've been asleep at the wheel for far too long. We've been allowing these government officials, politicians, bureaucrats to just run the show, take advantage of everything without checking on them. We've let the inmates run the prison. So it's our fault. And the only way we're going to fix this is if we stand up and start pushing back. These people are not untouchable. But I can tell you what they want to do. They want to squash anyone that says anything different than them. And that, folks, is not America. That is not freedom. That is not living up to our constitutional values. Not even close. So I want to play you this clip from Tucker Carlson because, you know, he came to a conclusion last night based off of all the Democrats and Republicans losing their mind. He came to a conclusion. And I want you to hear the conclusion that Tucker Carlson came to. It's a conclusion that I, and I think many of you, have already come to. So here it is. It's a couple minutes long, but this is Tucker talking about the reaction to him airing the first segment of the January 6th footage. Here you go. Take a listen.
But Democrats in the Senate, the Democratic leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, is not asking why. Instead, Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor today to explode and to say that showing that video, evidence of wrongdoing by the federal government, including the security forces, the police department that Nancy Pelosi personally controlled, letting the public see any of that is a threat to democracy. Watch.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an anchor treat the American people and American democracy with such disdain.
There's nothing that shameful that has ever appeared on American television in the history of the medium. And so, on the basis of that, the self-evident outrage of showing the public video that it paid for and has a right to see, Chuck Schumer called for the censorship of that video. Any information, and he did not dispute that it was accurate, that damages a storyline his party constructed and used must be squelched. And Schumer was explicit on that point. Because that video contradicted lies told by the Democratic Party, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, Chuck Schumer demanded that our bosses pull this show off the air.
He's going to come back tonight with another segment. Fox News should tell him not to. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. I urge Fox News to order Carlson to cease propagating the big lie on his network and to level with their viewers about the truth behind the efforts to mislead the public. Conduct like theirs is just asking for another January 6th to happen.
It's a threat to democracy. Pull him off the air. A couple of obvious observations. You don't often see the Senate Majority Leader openly call for censorship on the floor of the Senate as if that was totally normal and didn't contradict the spirit and the letter of the First Amendment, but of course it does. But what's really happening here? What you're seeing is hysteria, the overstatement, the crazed hyperbole, the red-in-the-face anger. What is that? Well, it's not outrage. Of course, it's fear. It's panic. Those videos, which we did not retouch, which we brought to you after running everyone by the Capitol Police to make certain that we didn't imperil anybody, we told you that last night, those videos touch a nerve because they're a threat to the lies that Chuck Schumer has been telling for the last 26 months, and not just Chuck Schumer. We should also tell you that Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, was joined in this outrage by the Senate Minority Leader, and that would be a Republican, Mitch McConnell. And they were joined by a cascade of other Republicans, Tom Tillis from North Carolina, Mitt Romney from Utah, all sharing the same outrage. And from this, we learn two things. One, you're getting close to what they really care about. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is it so important that they would degrade themselves by telling such obvious lies and calling for censorship? Why? What are they trying to protect? That might be worth exploring, and we plan to. And the second thing that we learned from this is that they're on the same side. The Senate Majority Leader joins the Senate Minority Leader. Tom Tillis, Mitt Romney. They're all on the same side. So it's actually not about left and right. It's not about Republican and Democrat. Here you have people with shared interests. The open borders people. The people like Mitch McConnell who are living in splendor on Chinese money. The people who, underneath it all, have everything in common, are all aligned against everyone else. And that would include almost all news organizations in this country as well. And so if you're watching this film, it might be kind of interesting to keep a list. Because one thing we learned today is that they're all in agreement with each other. They kind of outed themselves. They sort of showed their membership cards and whatever club this is to the public. So keep a list. If you want to know who's actually aligned, despite the illusion of partisanship, we found out today.
And there it is. Number two, they're on the same side. Well, welcome to the party, Tucker. Yeah, we know this. And it was great to hear someone with his viewership and his reach say the same thing. We already know it's a uniparty. We already know they're aligned. We know this. And the card that they carry is the elitist card. It's the elite card. We want to subjugate American money and people to grow our wealth, influence, and control. Because, guys, the American economy and the American people are the engine that could. We make magic happen because we're hard workers, we're industrialists, we're intelligent, we're creative, I mean, the rest of the world emulates everything we do in our culture and society because we're actually really good at making shit happen. And they know this. And every single one of these numbskulls, liars, just gross humans like Chuck Schumer, who will stand on the Senate floor and say that kind of garbage, know that they're living off of our backs and manipulating our resources, guys, because their only source of income or revenue is our money in the form of taxes. That's it. And Tucker hit the nail on the head. We have a right to see the footage because we own it. We own the cameras that the footage was taken on. We own the machines that recorded it. We own the grounds and the Capitol. We, the people, own it. We have a right to see what went on that day. We have a right to get the truth and only the truth, the story, not a story, from the leaders we elect and send to Congress, whose salaries we pay. We have a right to peek behind the curtain at every bureaucracy, agency, department in Washington, D.C. because it is our money which keeps them alive. It is our money that they spend. So at the very least, for a functional constitutional republic, and I'm tired of hearing this crap about, it's a democracy. It's a democracy. Oh, it's a threat to democracy. Yeah, only freaking Marxists say that. We are a constitutional republic. It's clear. It's simple. And the only way a constitutional republic can operate, can exist, is if the people that we send to do the work of the people are at the very least honest. Because the minute they turn not honest is the very moment you can be sure it's for their own best interest and for the ability to take advantage of the people and the people's resources that sent them there. And that is where we are in America right now. And I know for those of you that have been, checking out the show every day, listening every day, you may get tired of hearing me say this, but you shouldn't. And if you haven't taken action yet, you need to. But I'm going to keep saying it. The time is now. Gone are the days where we can just blindly go about our lives without holding the people who are responsible for ensuring our freedoms are doing the right job. And this is all the way from Washington, D.C., down to the school boards in your community. It's time, America. It's time. You know how I know it's time? Because even though I'm running a new company that's only 4 years old and dedicating my time and my life to leaving my children and my family a legacy and trying to grow what I'm doing in my life, I took the time to do a show so just maybe if I can just convince one other person to start speaking up and get involved, it will have been worth it to take the time to do this show. That's how I know it's time, and the time is now. Because, guys, just like you, I've been a pacifist at the wheel. Yes, I had my opinions, I had my beliefs, but unless you were a close friend or a family member, I didn't share them. And I wasn't active in local politics. I vote, but that's it. And I love America. I've served America proudly. And I love Americans. And I love everything this country was designed to be. And am happy when I see it progress. But I was just as much as pacifist or passive as most of us. And the best of us are not the ones going to D.C., guys. The best of us are not the ones in the state houses or in the governor mansions or sitting on the school board or your township trustee or your county trustee or your city mayors. It's usually those who have grifted, and I'm not broad stroking. I apologize if you're one of those people. There are a lot of good people out there trying to fight the fight. But it seems like we have a habit of electing the least qualified people ever. The grifters, the ones that haven't really done anything with their lives, are just strongly opinionated and just want to tell everybody else what to do. And it's like we put the worst people who are the most susceptible to being corrupted in office. And it's because we're asleep at the wheel. And that's how I know it's time. Because here I am spending my time early in the morning doing this show. Guys, it's just, and I'm not trying to say, oh, look at me. That's not it at all. But I'm so passionate about this because it's so bad that it got me, also somebody who's been a pacifist, to get off his ass and do something. I'm too busy to run for office. I just genuinely am. And I'm not saying it's out of question for forever, but right now in my life, it is. Because running a company and building, it takes time, energy, a lot of it. Like 15, 16, 17-hour days. And for you entrepreneurs out there, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm raising a young family, etc. Like many of you. And I know not everybody is going to run for office or start a podcast or whatever, but that's why I'm here. Like, it's gotten so bad that it got me off my ass and in front of this microphone to convince all of you we need to band together and change this. And we can all serve a part. If you're able to run for local office, run. If you're not able to run for office, then support somebody who is. It doesn't take any time to call your congressional representatives every week if you have to. Schedule it. On Monday and Friday, I'm going to call my congressional members in both Congress and my state house, and I'm going to make my voice heard on some of these issues. And then convince 3 or 4 friends to do the same. Share this show. That's how you can, if you're like, man, I don't feel comfortable calling and doing all that, then share the show. Because you might share it to 5, and 1 out of those 5 might run for office or be like, hey, I got time to call. I don't mind making phone calls. So maybe that's how you can participate. But my point is we all need to participate collectively because this crap has to stop. We have our leaders literally saying in the chambers of Congress that the press should be censored. Just take the names out. I don't care if you like Tucker Carlson or Fox News or not. It's irrelevant. And I would say the same damn thing if they were trying to censor the idiots on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, and NBC. I would say the same thing. If somebody came into office or in the chambers of Congress said that they should be censored and pulled off the air, I would be saying the exact same thing because it's egregious and it's a direct attack and violation on the First Amendment. And that should be concerning everybody. We have politicians in America now and bureaucrats in America now that are okay violating the Constitution. And guys, what good is the Constitution if nobody will follow it? What comes next is not good. When the Constitution ceases to be followed, then it ceases to exist. And when that happens, there's only two possible outcomes, ladies and gentlemen. Two. One is chaos. The other is control. Both are un-American. Now's the time. I mean, you literally, I just played the tape. We literally have congressional members calling for active censorship in America. It's not okay. There isn't a circumstance that makes it okay. And the American people have a right to see all the footage. American people have the right to know if their leaders are lying to them. And they have a right to see any evidence that supports it. And folks, you're being lied to. Not by Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is debunking very easily the claims of the Democrats. And now the Democrats are joined by many Republicans. Guys, I don't have to convince you every day that this is a uniparty in America, that their interests are theirs alone and not ever yours. I don't have to convince you every day. You just have to be willing to open your eyes and see. Because the minute you do, the minute you truly open your eyes and want to see the truth, not a narrative or an ideology or a political party belief, but actually see through all that bullshit, the minute you do that, the minute you will see the truth. Because it's right there in front of you. It's right there in front of all of us. Get past the partisan bullcrap and you will see it. Get past the partisan spin, you will see it. Is there partisan spin at Fox? Yes, 100%. Often. I mean, I can barely stand Sean Hannity, like literally his voice. But the only reason I give Tucker a pass and not pass for spin is because of just look at the obvious. Most people will not go on his show because he's a liar. No, because they know he's going to ask the tough questions. They know he's not going to give them softballs or preferential treatment. I mean, he invited, after Chuck Schumer went on the floor of the Senate and said everything you just heard, Tucker invited him on to the show, folks. And do you know what his response was? I was invited on the Tucker Carlson show, but I will not go on. I'd be more than happy to go on his show if Tucker will tell all the American people that he lied to them. Think about that. Manipulation. I'll do it, but first you got to say something. You have to say you lied, that you're a liar. Then I'll come on your show. Guys, who's the effing liar in that equation? You're saying it's lies. You've been given an invitation to come and personally debunk it. You know, you Chuck Schumer, said, hey, he's lying to the American people. You're given the invitation to go on a show and confront the man that you were calling a liar, and I want to say a word that I can't say, but it begins with a P. You us out from going and confronting him. Wonder why that is. And the only way you'll do it is if he bends the knee, and bows down to your bull and says he's a liar. Then you'll go on the show. Guys, that's like, it shows you he's a coward because he knows he can't debate the facts. He needs the premise of Tucker admitting he's a liar because then the debate's over. Yeah, then I can come on the show and say you're a liar. Think about that. But most people, and especially dumb Democrats, are going to just buy that hook. Like, yeah, don't go on there until he admits he's lying. That's not debate. If Chuck Schumer thinks Tucker's lying and has the facts to back it up, go on the show and confront him like a man. Go on the show and confront him with your facts and debate your facts versus his facts and see which one wins. That just proves to you the fact that he won't do that much. And most politicians won't. If you notice, he asks almost weekly for different politicians to come on the show and to stand by their beliefs and their actions, and they all deny the requests. But they'll go on all the other shows, on all the networks and all the other shows on Fox, because they know they'll get softball questions. Because everybody else is a part of it. And that alone should show you that Chuck Schumer is a liar and a coward. And sunlight is the best disinfectant, guys, when it comes to lying. And that's why Chuck Schumer won't go into the sun. Because he's a coward and a liar. Anyway, sorry for the, word vomit there and sounding like the ranting, raging guy. It's not my intent. Guys, it's so obvious. And if you just open your eyes, you'll see it. You'll see it. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to convince you that it's a uniparty, that government is only working in the interest of government and not you. If you just get away from the parties, the political parties, and open your eyes, even just do it for a day. Hey, look, if you're a liberal on the left, or just a regular old Democrat on the left, or a Republican on the right, or staunch conservative, right-leaning, just for one day, step back and just look at things through a different lens. Not the lens of what you believe your political ideologies have been up to this point and what your party's talking points are, but just as an outsider looking in, just an observer of what's going on. And you tell me that I'm full of crap. That's the challenge. Please do it. Because I know for a fact the minute you do it, you're going to see it. You're going to see the crap for what it is, and everything is going to change. And that's why I'm doing the show, because it happened to me. I started stepping back and going, you know what, it started with, let me look at both sides of this coin. And then it turned from that into, no, both sides of that coin suck. So let me just look at it as an outsider. Stand outside and look in as an observer. And my eyes were open. Anyway, guys, I got to leave it there. I'm so glad that you came back for another episode. Thank you so much for the support, guys, and for sharing the show. I know many of you out there are doing it because the show is growing, and I can't thank you enough for that. And we can do more, though, so make sure to share the show. If it got you thinking, got you fired up, share the show and have some healthy debate with friends and family. Let's get people into the coalition. Also, make sure to leave a rating and review. it does two things, guys. One, it brings the show up in the algorithm. And two, it tells me what I can do to make the show better for you guys every single day. I will be back with you guys tomorrow morning. I cannot wait until then. But until then, guys, have a great American day and take care.